gathered here today, we acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional territory of the Cree peoples and the homeland of the Métis. We pay our respect to the First Nation and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. Before we really begin, I'll give you a few little details. Just if you need to use the washroom, delegates or guests, they're at the back door to your left. The cafeteria will be closed for the morning other than classrooms coming in to observe and watch. We will have Wi-Fi. It's up here. If you're using Wi-Fi, it's under the guest X network. And username and password up on the screen for you temporarily. No one's X actually. Do or get X? Yeah. Do? Okay. One of the other. Do or X. We are live streaming as well. So Mr. Heck back there is setting up a live stream for St. Mary's or your parents or others to watch the proceedings as they happen today. It is on Carlton's live YouTube channel. The link is up there, so if you wanted to text your parents right now, go for it and let them know that they can watch you as it happens. Lunch will be at about 11:45. It'll be served up here. We can eat within the cafeteria as well. The cafeteria will open for other students at Carlton after that point. Then you have a bit of time on your own just to either wander to school, check things out, or just visit. We will also be having a photography club in here, taking some photos throughout the day, throughout the morning. And they'll definitely be taking group photos at lunch. So we'll probably have a group photo potentially up here or wherever the photographer sees the vision. Where it could happen. We'll have each school representations have a group school photo, and then we'll have a larger group photo for everybody as well, and we'll send those to your schools as well. Yeah, lunch is then served. So, at this moment, we have a few special guests here today, so what I'd like to do is I'll first introduce our first welcome guest. He's the current president of the Rotary Club of Prince Albert, and I'll ask Mr. Morash to come up and send us special greetings.
Bring it down to my level. I'm honored to be this year's president of the Rotary Club of Prince Albert. What the Rotary Club of Prince Albert is a group of community leaders that get together every Monday, and what we try and do is promote goodwill, peace in the world. That is part of our mandate. We offer a number of programs to help with education programs. Some of you here, I see a couple, I'm not going to point you out because I promise I wouldn't embarrass you, but that you've participated in our RILA program, which is our student summer camp program where you learn leadership skills. We also have Adventures in Technology, Adventures in Citizenship, send you to Ottawa for a week, and Adventures in Agriculture, among other programs. So I encourage you, you're obviously a group of engaged young adults here that are looking to find your way in the world. These are programs that are offered free of charge and sponsored by the Rotary Club. So please feel free to talk to any Rotarian or check out our website or talk to your teachers about these programs. Now, a little bit about Rotary and the type of the thought process that we use in terms of how we make our decisions and how we try and live our lives and conduct ourselves during our business activities. They have something called the 4-way test. So this is what we try and use. I have it on my keychain here, so I'm not going to start my car. First thing is it the truth? The second, is it fair to all concerned? The third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And the fourth is it will be beneficial to all concerned. Now, good luck with that during a political debate, but that is the aspiration we try and live up to every day, and that's what we hope that you adopt as your future philosophy going forward. So thanks again for everybody for hosting this, for all the teachers, the students, the schools. I believe we have 3 schools now. We're in Shellbrook, St. Mary's, and Carlton. So Congratulations for, number one, for showing up and for being here, and also for participating. So thanks again. The Rotary Club is very honored to be a part of this once more.
Mr. Court must have been held up this morning, so we will maybe wait until he's free to come bring greetings from Carlton until that time. So at this moment, I would like to welcome our head table, our guest, head table. Yeah, please come to the stage. So, yeah, Mr. Moran, Mr. Grudnick. Before the proceedings begin, and as they have a seat at the table, Mr. Court has freed himself up. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Court, Principal of Carlton, to give you greetings from the school. Mr. Court.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
Good morning, everyone. Just want to say welcome to Carlton. My name is Jeff Gord. I'm the principal here. This is my first year, and I'm now back at Carlton. We're honored to host such an excellent event, and we hope that your day goes extremely well. So, welcome to Carlton, and take care.
I'll let the speakers take over from here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clausen. As Mr. Clausen said, my name is Dennis Agravin, and I will be the Secretary General for this morning's activities. Joel Moore.
Hi guys, my name is Joel Moore and I'm a former participant for Carlton. I went to the Winnipeg Model United Nations Assembly sponsored by Rotary. This is a wonderful event. This is always the highlight of my year in high school. I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. I think we're going to make some important discussions, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. So, thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Jordan Rutterberg. I'm also a Rotarian, and I was a delegate at the 2007 UNA.
Okay, thank you. In the old days, I was also a delegate. Mr. Harrison from the Rotary Club was the chair, and I was a student at St. Mary. And this cafeteria was filled with about 100 teams of delegates, and so it's been a lot of fun. I also want to thank the Rotary Club for their sponsorship of this event. Without Rotary's sponsorship, this event would not happen. So delegates, when you see a Rotarian, thank you for that. Also, all the other programs that you had mentioned, in 1980, I was also selected to represent PA for the Adventure and Citizenship in Ottawa. So that was an experience in itself. We're going to call the delegates to the stage here in a few minutes. Just before we do that, we just want to assure the delegates that this morning is a learning experience. Okay? So if you are nervous, good. If you feel that you're going to make a mistake, that's okay. We all make mistakes. If you're unsure of anything, feel free to come and ask one of us up here. Just guidance or a question or something like that. We're here to help you, and we're here to guide you. And what we're here for is to get the judges to select the best team, and we're going to work on making sure that you are well prepared for Winnipeg. Because in Winnipeg, it's a little bit different. It'll be very strict. But here, we want to make it as comfortable as possible for the delegates, and so that you feel that you're going to have a fun learning day today. So don't panic or don't worry if you make a mistake. It's not a big deal. Okay?
One more thing, guys. I was contacted last night by somebody involved with the Youth Ambassador Program of Canada. This is a program run by the U.S. State Department. It's a program I participated in a couple years ago. It's a 3.5-week exchange program to the States, fully sponsored. If anybody would have any questions about it, the deadline to apply is April 1st. I will have these flyers with me at lunch if you'd like to ask me any questions. It's a really fun program. It's really worth applying. So, thanks. Sure. I would now like to call the honorable delegates to the stage of the Assembly. Come on up. And pages, please.
Okay, distinguished delegates, we're going to adopt the agenda. Hopefully everybody has an agenda in front of them on their tables. I guess we'll get those to you. So to move the agenda, what you guys are going to do is one team is going to go to the podium and you're going to move the agenda as presented. And then we'll have a second team go to the podium and they will say we second that agenda. The chair, which is going to be Mr. Moran here, he will call for the vote and he'll call all those in favor. When he calls all those in favor, you just raise your placard, okay? And that means you're in favor of it. And then he'll ask all those opposed, raise your placard, and then he'll rule the decision of the majority, okay? So that's how we move an agenda.
I would now like to call on a delegation to move to adopt the agenda. Anybody, any group, any team. The delegates from Russia. The honorable delegates from Russia move to adopt the agenda. Is there a seconder? China.
Second the motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you very much. The delegates from Russia and China move to adopt the agenda. Votes in favor, please. Raise your placards. Eight in favor, those opposed. Raise your placard. And those abstaining, please raise your placard. The motion is adopted and the agenda is adopted.
Okay, so the second item on the, or third item on the agenda is the Model United Nations Assembly in Winnipeg. So at 3 o'clock, the three judges will give us the results of who the best delegation is throughout the day. So that winning team will then be sponsored by the Rotary Club to represent Prince Albert at Winnipeg. The Model United Nations in Winnipeg takes place in May. I think it's May 9th to the 12th. Everything is covered. It's a great event. It has delegates from Saskatchewan. Very few from Saskatchewan. We're usually the team that has traveled the furthest. A 10-hour drive to Winnipeg. So we're usually the team that's traveled the furthest, but there's Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Northern Ontario, North Dakota, and Minnesota. And it's held at the Canadian Mennonite University in Winnipeg. They house you, they feed you, the Rotary Club entertains you. It's a great 4 days in Winnipeg. So Joel had the opportunity of going. Prince Albert has won Winnipeg only on one occasion, and where it's given an honorable mention on one occasion in the last 8 years. So we've done very, very well in Winnipeg. So this day is what really will help you delegates prepare for Winnipeg. And so we're looking forward to seeing what happens there. We'll now call on the roll call of distinguished delegates. So what you will do is you'll go to the podium with your placard. You will introduce yourself, you'll introduce what school you are, and then you will also state whether you are going to be a voting member or not a voting member. Now what that means is we want everybody to be a voting member. So just say, we are going to vote on every issue, okay? Because if you don't identify that you're voting on an issue, then you can't vote later. So it's best to say that we are going to be a voting member, okay? So the country that you represent, the school, your names, country you represent, and the school you're from, and that you are a voting member. Those 4 things, okay? So we'll have... So we'll have our chair call the delegates one by one.
The honorable delegates from Russia to the podium, please.
My name is Sandiana. And we're from Carlton Comprehensive Public High School, and we will be a voting member.
Thank you very much, delegates from Russia. And just a quick note, if all further delegations could speak clearly into the microphone and a bit louder, thank you very much. The delegation from the United States of America, please.
We are the distinguished delegates of the United States from Ecole St. Mary High School. My name is Omri Lee.
And my name is Precious.
My name is Cronus Boudreaux.
Are you voting members?
Yes.
We will be voting members for all resolutions.
Thank you. The honorable delegates from the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So, names, school you're from, country you're representing, and if you're a voting member. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Danielle. I'm Trinity. And we are from Carlton Comprehensive High School, and we will be a voting member.
Thank you. Delegates from the People's Republic of China.
And we're representing St. Mary's High School, and we're representing the People's Republic of China. And we will be voting members.
Thank you very much, delegates from China. Delegates from the Republic of France, please take the podium.
I'm Marcus Ross. I'm Stephen Cribb. We are from Ecole St. Mary High School. We will be representing the Republic of France, and we will be voting members.
Thank you very much, delegates from the French Republic. Delegates from South Africa.
Chairperson, could you ask the delegates to speak clearly into the microphone?
We would remind all delegates to please speak clearly into the microphone with a bit of volume so that everybody in the assembly can hear.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Sarah, and we'll be representing South Africa, Carlton Comprehensive High School, and we'll be voting members.
Thank you very much, delegates. Delegates from Germany, please.
We are representing Germany. My name is McKenna Bloom.
My name is Leah Benny.
My name is Logan Martinez.
We are from WP Sandon High School and we will be voting members.
Excellent, thank you, delegates. Delegation from the Ivory Coast, please.
I'm Tyson Crawford. And I'm Riley Crawford. We're from WP Sandon and we'll be representing Ivory Coast and we will be voting.
Thank you very much, delegates. Delegates from Belgium.
Hello, I'm Andrew Dunphy.
I'm Conrad Elphinstone.
And we're from Carlton Comprehensive High School, and we will be representing Belgium, and we will be a voting member.
Thank you very much, delegates. Delegates from Indonesia.
My name is Spencer, this is Seth. We represent the Republic of Indonesia. We are from Nicole St. Mary High School, and we will be voting members.
Thank you very much. You hold your placard up, please. Poland. Okay, thank you.
I am Brianna Parody. Oh, sorry. I'm Kirsten Gagne, and we're from Carlton Comprehensive High School, and we're representing Poland, and we will be voting members.
Excellent, thank you, delegates. You hold up your placard, please. Kuwait. Thank you. Delegates from Kuwait.
My name's Corey, and we're from Carlton, and we'll be representing Kuwait, and we'll be voting.
Excellent, thank you, delegates. And that concludes the roll call of delegates to this session. Is it Security Council or Science Security Council? Okay, and introduction of pages. So our pages are right here behind me. You guys can stand up, please, and short little wave. Excellent. So these are the pages. So their job is to ferry notes in between the delegations. As the delegates see, they have notepads in front of them. So take full use of those. Write out your message, include who it's to, who it's from, and your message. And pages will give those to the delegations. And just make sure that everything's completely on level, please, regarding their content. And yeah, I find that the page system is very helpful for trying to build support for resolutions and amendments and that sort of thing.
The only time the pages will not be delivering any messages is during voting. So we'll close the floor, and so distinguished delegates, we'd ask that you respect that you cannot send a message during voting, but we'll remind you of that procedure as well, okay? And we'll remind the pages as well. Okay, next is the naming of the Credentials Committee. So what the Credentials Committee is, distinguished delegates, is 3 countries that will rule on procedure. If any delegates here challenge the chair, which means you're challenging us, you're challenging one of our decisions, or you're challenging a procedure that we put in place, etc. If you want to challenge us, you can go to the podium and say, we challenge the decision of the chair, and then what we will do is we will call the credentials committee together, and the credentials committee will then decide and they can overrule the decision of the chair. So if you want to be on the credentials committee, you will play a role only in the case of the challenging of the chair. Okay? So,
if you would like to serve on the Credentials Committee, please raise your placard towards us so we can read it. China would like, so would the UK, so would the United States, so would Russia. Excellent. So with 4 applicants to the committee, we will do a simple majority vote. So, all those countries in favor of China, please raise your placards towards us. And you're able to vote for yourself. Indonesia, Russia, China. 3 in favor of China, 4 in favor of China. All of those in favor of the United Kingdom to serve. Got 1, France. 2, 3. Okay. All those in favor of Russia, please. 1, 2, 3. All those in favor of the United States, please. 4. Thank you very much. We will have the delegations from China, Russia, and the United States of America serve on the Credentials Committee. So in terms of the rules of session, part 7 of the agenda, delegates, 7A, speaker times. So, as the mover of a resolution, the mover will have 4 minutes to speak on said resolution. The seconders will have 3 minutes, and any addition to the speakers list on a given resolution or an amendment will have 1 minute to speak. But we'll be flexible. I don't know if that was for all of us or just for the 2 of us. But anyway, 7B, additions to the speakers list. So, once we have had speeches from the movers and seconders of a given resolution, we will call out for additions to the speakers list. So if any countries would like to participate and speak on the given resolution, they raise their placard and we will simply call on them in order of when they raise their placards to speak.
Okay, I'll explain the next little section, which is kind of the rules of how we debate. Okay, and these rules, these are Robert's rules. Your provincial legislature, city hall, and the federal government all follow Borneo's rules, which is similar to Robert's rules. So what you can do at any time, or almost any time, is you can call on a point of order. And what a point of order is, it's when you feel that you need to add some consideration to what's being said or what has just happened. So what I mean by a point of order is that if you think that a rule has been broken, so let's say somebody does go past the 4 minutes, you can rise on a point of order and say, you know, the rule was broken, that speaker went over 4 minutes, and we'd ask that the chair please follow. We will rule on that point of order, whether you are correct or incorrect, and then make the necessary accommodation. You could also rise on a point of order when somebody speaking at the podium, their comments are not relevant to the debate. Okay, if they go off task or they wander in their comments, or if they use unparliamentary language. Unparliamentary language means that you do not ever, in the Model UN or in any parliament or legislature, you never call out another person's name. You always refer to them as the distinguished delegates from Belgium or whatever. That's what you would say. You don't say, you know, Frank over there did this or whatever, okay? That's how you would use that. Or if there's a lack of quorum. Now what quorum is we have to have at least 7 countries here for this, or 8 countries, no, 7 countries because we're only 12 here, but normally there would have to be at least 8 countries present at the Security Council. Next is point of question. Point of question is to ask a question of the speaker or the chair. And again, it's for your clarification of an issue. That's what a point of question is really about. Is you might not understand something, or you might need clarification on something, and you rise on a point of question. Point of information is to clarify the speaker's previous speech. So you could ask for a point of information if you did some research on other countries and what their positions are on, or what happened and what they said. You can rise on a point of information. And again, the speakers, or the chairs I should say, might allow it or might disallow it depending upon what's happening at a particular time. Last but not least, point of personal privilege. That is at any time during the debate or during the day, if you ever feel threatened or uncomfortable because of a situation that might arise at the United Nations, you rise on a point of personal privilege. And that is something that is taken extremely serious by the UN and will be taken serious by us. So if there is a situation, you rise immediately on a point of personal privilege. Okay, if you ever feel threatened or unsafe in any way. Challenge of the chair. You can challenge our decisions. If you don't feel that we acted correctly, then we will call on the Credentials Committee to rule, and they can make the decision whether we acted correctly or incorrectly. When we talk about voting procedures, quorum means that we need at least 7 delegates to be present, okay, at all times. I'm not going to go on all the different, explain all the votes other than we could have roll call a vote. Roll call a vote means that you want a recorded vote. So we normally vote by just showing our placards, or what you can ask for is you can ask for each delegate to stand and say they're either in favor or they're opposed to it, to the particular motion. That's called a roll call vote. You could also have a clause-by-clause vote. So let's say you agree to a couple clauses in the resolution, but you don't agree to others, so you want to vote in favor of part of it, but not the other part. What you can do is you can call for a clause-by-clause vote, okay? And last but not least, the 5 in the front have all the power. You have the veto today. And what that means is if any one of these 5 countries veto a resolution, the resolution does not pass. So, distinguished delegates, it's important that you have the support of the 5 permanent members of the United Nations. Now, how these 5 got this power was when the United Nations was created after World War II. They decided that the Security Council would be 15 countries, 5 permanent members. And so the front row are the 5 permanent members who were selected by the delegates that met in establishing the founding of the UN. And then they have 10 non-permanent members. So every 2 years, 5 non-permanent members are replaced. So since World War II, Canada has been on the Security Council, and Canada has, I think, have maybe 6 or 7 times that we've been on the Security Council since World War II. So we usually get a turn every couple votes. The Security Council, as you notice as well, it's representing all regions of the world. So you can't have all European countries on the Security Council. You have to have Security Council members from Southeast Asia, from the Oceania. You have to have from Latin America, South America, and also from Africa. So it's truly representative of what the world is. And then these 5 permanent members. So all those points and all the voting too, if you want, right before the vote is held, just stand up. The chair will acknowledge you and will say, you know, the distinguished delegate from the Ivory Coast, what is your concern? You go to the mic and you just say, we want a clause-by-clause vote. You'd say the delegation of Ivory Coast would like a clause-by-clause vote. Or you'd say, yeah, something like that. That's what you would do. Or if point of order, point of information, you just go to the mic and say point of information, point of order.
Alrighty, before we begin on the first resolution, I've just been asked to remind the delegates that there are name tags that the delegates could wear throughout the day. That would, of course, make it a bit easier on all of us, but, you know, that'd be nice. So, moving into resolution number 1, the prevention of an arms race in outer space, we will call upon the mover of said resolution, the delegates from China, to give their opening remarks. Okay. So just a quick note for China. You will need to read out the resolution in full, and your 4-minute speaking time will only begin once you finish reading the resolution. You may proceed. Thank you.
Gentlemen, move the microphone so you're speaking right into it. You can raise it or whatever you want.
The General Assembly recognizing that prevention.
The microphone a little bit up. Speak right into it. Mr. O'Connor will help.
The General Assembly, recognizing that prevention of an outer space arms race would avert a grave danger from international peace and security, would call on all states, in particular those with major space capabilities, to contribute actively to the peaceful use of outer space and the prevention of an outer space arms race. Under the terms of one of the 7 texts approved today by the First Committee, the Assembly would reaffirm its recognition that the legal regime applicable to the outer space did not in itself guarantee the prevention of an arms race, and there was a need to reinforce the regime and enhance its effectiveness. The draft was approved and recorded vote of 160 to 1 against the United States. Thank you, Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates. The People's Republic of China believes it is in the best interest of humanity to prevent an arms race in outer space. Space should not be used for the advancement of all humanity and not as a means for war. The world has already witnessed a severe arms race between Russia and the United States of America and should be taking precautions to avoid war by ratifying this resolution. Is it not a cause for concern that both the United States of America and Russia withdrew from previous arms limitation treaties, known as SALT I and SALT II? There's a possible escalation of tension between both Russia and the United States of America, and due to this, a possible nuclear conflict arising. By establishing this resolution, we would be preserving future peace by refining previous resolutions, such as the Outer Space Treaty established in 1967. To begin with, a very dangerous weapon was overlooked by the previous space treaty, known as kinetic bombardment. Kinetic bombardment consists of launching dense rocks from the satellite, which are then accelerated by gravity. Although not in practice at the moment, the People's Republic of China believes action must be taken to prevent this application, the application of this weapon. It has the capacity to destroy entire cities, but it is not considered a weapon of mass destruction due to the absence of nuclear or biological substances. People's Republic of China believes that outer space should be used to benefit all of humanity. In other words, space does not only belong to the nuclear powers like Russia and the United States of America. This is subject of a previous resolution about space, known as the Outer Space Treaty, which stated that astronauts shall be regarded as the envoys of humanity. An arms race in this states that outer space must not be subject to national appropriation by any means. Once again, an arms race is contradictory to this clause. This resolution would further refine the previous resolutions and complete it by acting as an updated version for this era and completed. Distinguished delegates, the People's Republic of China seeks to stop a nuclear arms race. There is no doubt it will prevent conflict in the future if applied. I yield the remaining of my time to the chair.
Thank you, delegation from China. We will now call upon the seconder of this resolution, the delegation from South Africa. 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairperson, fellow delegates, and guests, we, the representatives of South Africa, support the notion. We remain committed to multilateralism as the best tool to deal with issues affecting international peace and security. We reaffirm our commitment to the United Nations Disarmament Commission as the only universal and main deliberative platform on critical issues of disarmament, non-proliferation, and arms control. The Disarmament Commission has in the past made valuable contributions to our work on disarmament and international security. We call on all delegations to show the necessary flexibility so as to allow this body to fulfill its responsibilities. We remain concerned about the lack of progress on the agenda item. It is my delegation's hope in our collective interest that the discussions and deliberations will be based on genuine political will and good faith, and that we will be able to make progress.
On the issue of nuclear disarmament, my delegation joins the majority of member states and that has been expressed deep concern about the catastrophic humanitarian consequences that would befall humankind in case of nuclear detonation. Whether by design or accident, only the total elimination of nuclear weapons and legally binding assurance that they will never be produced again will guarantee a world free from the threat posed by nuclear weapons. South Africa believes that the best way to promote order and sustainability of outer space activities is to preserve outer space in the domain for peaceful activities and through international cooperation and dialogue. We therefore will continue to engage international efforts to develop rules and norms of behavior in space. In conclusion, we look forward to elaborate on the agenda's items and thematic debates. We stand ready to participate actively during discussions and to work with all delegations towards achieving the consensus outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, delegation from South Africa.
Just delegates, when you're finished speaking, if you still have time, usually you end your speech by saying we yield the remaining time to the chair, or you can yield it to another country if you'd like, and then we would add your time. You have a minute left, and so you could have given that time back to us, or you could give that time back to another country. Let's say you want to give it back to China, and let China talk more. You could do something like that, okay? That's important. In Winnipeg, they will be watching that. The judges will be watching those kinds of things. That's a procedure thing, and so you want to know and to demonstrate to your judges that you understand the procedures of the UN, okay? So it's just an error, but just every time you speak now, all delegates, just say, we yield our remaining time to the chair or to another country, okay? The other thing I want to say, delegates, is you prepared these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful speeches, and we can't hear you. So speak up, okay? The other thing, If you like what a country has said, the procedure in the United Nations or in Parliament is just to rap on your table to show approval of what you just heard. So if somebody says something that you really like, that's what you want to do, okay? Delegates?
Thank you, Mr. Rodnick. The delegation from the United States on a point of personal privilege. Yes.
The delegation of the United States would like to point out that the internet is not working.
Thank you very much.
And could I make a point of order too?
Yes.
The delegation of the United States would like to point out that the resolution states the General Assembly when today we are a Security Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. So, in regards to the point of order regarding the preamble, we would ask that the United States make a motion for what's called a friendly amendment to change that wording from General Assembly to Security Council. And in that case, if it's friendly, then the mover, China, would only have to agree and then the change would be made. And we don't have to vote on it. Yeah, we'd ask that you move a friendly amendment to change the wording. United States.
The delegation of the United States would like to call for a friendly amendment to change the General Assembly to Security Council for this resolution.
Thank you. Is the People's Republic of China in agreement? If so, raise your placard, please. Excellent. And would South Africa also signal whether or not they're in favor by moving up their placard on the friendly amendment? Okay, the change has been noted. Friendly amendment from United Nations General Assembly to United Nations Security Council. Thank you very much, delegates from the United States. And we'll get working on the internet issue. Point of information from the delegation from Indonesia.
The delegation from the Republic of Indonesia would like clarification if the speaker time is 1 minute or 2 minutes.
Thank you, delegate from Indonesia. The speaking time is indeed 2 minutes for additions to the speakers list. The chair apologizes for the error. Speaking of speaking list, the chair would now open the floor to those countries wishing to speak on this resolution for a total of 2 minutes. If you please. Sure. So those wishing to speak. France, United Kingdom, US, Russia, Germany. Any further speakers wishing to be added to the list? Thank you very much. So we'll call upon the first speaker of the list, the delegation from the United States, to speak on the resolution. For 2 minutes.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, most esteemed guests, the United States national security policy is best characterized by exploring new horizons and seeking new frontiers. The American destiny beyond the earth is not only a matter of national identity, but also a matter of national security. Knowing the United States is the best in the world at space, our adversaries are developing the capabilities to deny us the use of space in crisis or war, which is transforming space into a war-fighting domain. However, it has been our consistent policy to oppose arms control concepts, proposals, and legally binding regimes that seek or impose prohibitions on the use of space for military or intelligence purposes. In the spirit of cooperation, the United States seeks to sustain the principles that have helped to maintain international peace in outer space for the past half-century. It is our duty and destiny to settle the space frontier with American leadership, courage, and values. For as President Ronald Reagan said, peace is not absence of conflict, it is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. Thank you. We'd like to yield our remaining time to the chair.
Thank you, delegation from the United States. We'd ask that you take your placard as well, please. And we will now call upon the delegation of the Russian Federation to speak on the resolution. Point of question. Point of question from the United Kingdom. So, Russia, please take your seat. We have a point of question from the United Kingdom.
We just wanted to ask how much time the additional speakers got to speak on the resolution.
The chair would reply 2 minutes. Okay. Point of information from the People's Republic of China.
People's Republic of China would like to state that in no way is this resolution limiting any space exploration like the United States stated. It is a means to avoid a severe war, and we must take these precautions to avoid such a war. I yield the remainder of my time to the chair.
Thank you. Delegation from China. We will now call upon the Russian Federation to speak for a total of 2 minutes.
We are the esteemed delegates from the Russian Federation, and we oppose this resolution. No country owns space, but space has the potential to cause conflict between competing nations. The United States has made false claims that the Russian Federation is developing and launching military technology into outer space. We deny these false allegations. In fact, we believe that the United States has created these allegations to limit the Russian Federation's ability to compete in the space race scientifically. We challenge other nations to prove that the Russian Federation has or is planning to launch weapons into space. There is no need to pass this piece of legislation if the United States ceases to cause tension and make false allegations against other countries. Through our participation in the United Nations, the Russian Federation has promised to peacefully coexist with the United States, but we are deeply hurt by the way U.S. officials are trying to sway scientific competition in space, and we will defend our scientific efforts to explore...
Would you please pause for the announcements?
Sorry. Custer, Stephanie Collection, Brittany Thomas, Ethan Hoffman, Joel Robinson, Elijah Arkan, Christopher Swain, and J.D. Seawalk Custer to student purposes, please.
That will not affect your speaking time. You may proceed.
Through our participation in the United Nations, the Russian Federation has promised to peacefully coexist with the United States.
Custer to the general office, please. Austin A. Custer to the general office.
But we are deeply hurt by the way U.S. officials are trying to sway the scientific competition in space, and we will defend our scientific efforts to explore outer space against all false allegations. We urge other nations to do the same. I yield my remaining time to the chair.
Thank you, honorable delegates from the Russian Federation. We will now call upon the delegation of points from the United States. Point of information, United States.
Point of information. In which part of the speech did the United States blame Russia or attack Russia?
Would the delegation of Russia like to respond to the point? You would. Okay, thank you. Russia.
The U.S. has been making these allegations through media, and so these are the allegations that we're responding to. We urge you to do a little bit of research into the point. Thank you. And we yield the remaining time to the chair.
Thank you, delegates from Russia. Okay, point of information in the United States.
The United States would like to ask Russia which evidence is proving that we have been attacking Russia or making false claims. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the delegation of Russia like to respond? They would not. Okay, moving on. Just a quick note from the chair. The new Wi-Fi is as follows. It's the Guest 2 network. The username is CALIB. CALIB username. And the password is CPU 2018. All lowercase, all word. Okay, thank you very much. And we will proceed down the speakers list with the delegation of France.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, the Republic of France is voting in favor of this resolution because we, the Republic of France, do not want a conflict or potentially complete battle in outer space. Furthermore, such conflicts have a potential to deny the human race further advancements in technology and exploration and may be the beginning of a new global conflict. The Republic of France believes that any country further exploring outer space should be regulated and policed by the members and staff of the United Nations. The fact that the nations of the world could potentially battle each other in space is too dangerous of an idea. This battle could spark another global conflict and in another Cold War type stalemate, in which neither side wants to take action for fear of what the other nation might retaliate with. Were such an event to occur, weaponizing space would not resolve, fix, or end anything. Just as throughout history, human advancements in warfare and technology only fuel wars, arming space vessels will not solve any problems. It is too dangerous to potentially be singled out by an international alliance and attacked from land, sea, and space borders. Although were such an event to occur, the Republic of France will not hesitate to defend the country. The Republic of France believes that it is in the best interest of all peoples to have peaceful exploration and potential colonization of outer space, meaning that if such exploration were to occur, it would be unarmed or minimally armed. It is not known what exists in outer space, therefore self-defense weapons would be accepted while still adhering to current weapon laws. However, offensive or attack weapons would most likely not be beneficial or permitted under policing and regulation of the United Nations were it to govern these affairs. The Republic of France yields our remaining time to the chair.
Thank you, delegation from France. We will now call upon the delegation of the United Kingdom to speak on the resolution.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We, as the United Kingdom, are for this resolution, which is the prevention of an arms race into outer space. There was an article done by John Freeman discussing the UK's views on the resolution at hand. The United Kingdom's focus on space is for civil and scientific purposes, such as atmospheric observation, lunar and interplanetary explorations, communications, mapping, navigation, satellite, early warning systems, etc. It is crucial to avoid the misinterpretations and mistrust because using technology in outer space is typically dangerous because multiple pieces of equipment could be used to harm other countries. Operating equipment in space can also be hazardous because there are natural meteoroids that go around the planet that are pulling out of space and they can collide with those and therefore damaging the equipment.
The cornerstone of it is not a simple task to find a widely acceptable definition of what constitutes militarization and weaponization of space. Given the difficulty of verifying and agreeing further legal treaties, the UK suggested that adopting rules of the globe in space would be similar to the riles that are used at sea. These agreements would not be easy for each nation to agree to. However, the UK strongly believes that the prevention of an arms race in outer space is crucial for each country's development as they adapt to outer space and their discoveries that they can make.
We now use our time to the chair.
Thank you, delegation from the United Kingdom. We will now call upon the delegation of Belgium to speak on the resolution at hand.
The delegation of Belgium finds it imperative to prevent an arms race in outer space, as any and all weapons that could go to outer space will cause international instability. And along with the US's president announcing the creation of the so-called Space Force, we find it imperative to act now. We yield all remaining time to the delegation of China.
We will call upon the delegation from the Federal Republic of Germany to speak on the resolution.
Honorable Chairperson, Secretary General, and distinguished delegates, the Federal Republic of Germany continues to be a supporter of the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, which places constraints on military activity in space, on the moon, and other celestial bodies, or otherwise stationed in outer space, nuclear or any other weapons of mass destruction. Germany has been committed to its efforts to prevent an arms race in outer space and limit outer space to peaceful purposes since it first became an international point of discussion.
Preventing an outer space arms race is easier than attempting to control and decelerate such a race after it has already begun. One way to avoid the weaponization of outer space is to close the loopholes in current international space law by evolving a new and comprehensive international legal agreement to block opportunities to deploy any type of weapons in space. We yield the remaining time to the chair.
Thank you, delegation from Germany. So we will call upon, if they'd like, the delegation from China with an additional minute and a half, if they would, which was yielded by Belgium, if they'd like. Point of information, United States.
The United States would like Germany to clarify what they mean by block weapons from outer space. Thank you.
Could you repeat your question, Delegate?
The United States would like Germany to clarify what they mean by blocking weapons from outer space. Thank you.
Who specifically? Germany?
Germany.
Okay. Would Germany like to respond to the point from the United States? Thank
you. We will respond to the point in pages.
Excellent. Okay, back to China for an additional minute and a half on the resolution. Thank you.
The People's Republic of China would like to emphasize how important this resolution is. This resolution could be preventing something...
Speak in the mic, please, Delegate.
This resolution could be preventing a conflict similar to the Cold War, preventing it from escalating and worsening and possibly becoming a nuclear war. I yield the remainder of my time to the chair.
Thank you, delegation from China. So, as time permits, we would also now like to invite both the United States and Russia to speak, if they would so please, on the resolution. We're thinking no? Okay. Okay, are there any additions to the speakers list on the resolution at hand? Seeing none, the chair directs the delegates to head into a discussion period, a caucus if you will. So you'll have 10-15 minutes to roam around the stage, think amongst yourselves, and try and find some consensus on the resolution for your point of view. So we'll come back.
So, distinguished delegates, what caucusing is right now is traditionally you break up into groups of your allies. That's what you want. And so it's important that you actually talk with your allies, not with other countries, okay? Because that's not what the United Nations would do. So for example, you would never see Iran and Israel caucusing. That just does not happen in the real world, okay? So we want to see, if you know who your allies are, that's what the judges will look for, and you will caucus with them. And as the chair said, this is your opportunity to build consensus, to try to get your members to make sure that they're solid with you. If you have any amendments, you're going to share them with your allies and say, this is what we're going to amend, this motion, and then make sure that they support you so that this motion goes forward from your perspective. Okay, that's what caucusing is all about.
And just a quick note on that. Say you have a group over here, a group over there, a group over here. You say, okay, well, this would make the resolution stronger for our point if we raised an amendment. If you'd like to kind of discuss that, in order to get that onto the order paper, you need to provide a written copy of that to the chair to make sure it's suitable for the amendment.
And also, distinguished delegates, just as Joel said as well, provide us with the chair or with a written copy. Also, if you have any questions or you don't understand anything at this point, please come and talk to Joel or myself, and we'll help you and guide you through this. Okay, that's what this is about. Morley will also be able to help to guide you through it. So you have two old guys and one young guy that can help you. Okay. We'll break until 10:30, and then we'll reconvene at about 10:30.
Thanks, guys.
There are no more pages, notes, just now caucus. Okay, so break into groups.
Basically what's happening is, I discussed the idea that blocks or groups in the country with similar interests. So now they're taking a look at the resolution, they're trying to see whether they agree with it, they're trying to find a way that they can amend it, to change it, so it meets their needs better than anything else. And each block will come up with some, may come up with some amendments, and things will go through. But it's a matter of the countries take a look at what's going on, and they look at it from their perspective, from their interests and their allies, and try to find a way to come out on top.
Perhaps also worth mentioning, guys, is it's really interesting to look at this because not only where their allegiances lie, it seems like China and Russia are now pretty hard together. Whereas the United States.
I was talking to the library.
You gotta really dig it. It's not as easy as it was. Where is it? Where's that coming from? Like I said, Not so bad.
Thank you.